Okay, as I was looking through the comments, I got a comment that just says generational knowledge. Now I'm going to do a video on that because that's a good point. There is such a thing as generational knowledge, or knowledge passed down from one generation to the next, right? And that pertains to flint knapping and other technologies and other crafts and other survival skills and things like that. Now, the main issue I think with generational knowledge is that it's not predictable and it's not continuous per se, okay? We can see that in the artifact record that not all artifacts remain the same over time, and a lot of times they'll change completely, okay? But let's just assume that it's possible for one generation to pass down exact technologies for both the point type and the toolkit from one generation to the next. Is that possible? Yes, that's possible. Is it widespread? Yes, I think it was widespread. Is it a good measure for, or is it a good argument in favor of being able to tell how an artifact was made? No. And like I said, it's not predictable. If an artifact was made in the year 1000 that looks just like the artifact that was made in the year 800, is it exactly the same technology that got passed down for 200 years? Chances are no. It could be, but chances are no, because there are other influences over time. Your neighbors can influence. Even if it looks the same, someone may have figured out another technique to either make it faster, or a technique could be lost somewhere, but if you look at the old stuff, you want to make it look the same, so you copy the old one with another technique. So yeah, it's a strong presence in life and in history. The generational knowledge concept is valid, right? But is it going to yield predictable results? Can it be tested in some way? Can we say, okay, this is a test for generational knowledge on this artifact. We're going to look at the other artifacts from previous generations. If they look the same, that means the generational knowledge got passed down. Is that true? No. In my opinion, it's not true. It could be, right? But there are other factors involved. It could be that someone has developed a different method for making the same thing, or a method was lost, but it still looks the same. You know what I mean? So let's just compare how I make things to someone else, right? I use a lot of indirect percussion, and some people use a lot of direct percussion, okay? And our pieces can look exactly the same, all right? We use different techniques. Now, I can pass on, or try to pass on, my indirect percussion techniques to my children. And they might not like it. They might like this guy's technique where he just uses direct percussion entirely with billets or something. They like it better. There's no guarantee that we're going to pass down the knowledge. Okay. And there are other factors too. There are competing technologies. Okay. I'll get into that in a different video, I think. I've got a whole list of stuff I'm going to do. Try to get a lot of these things done today. But it's a good topic of conversation, and it's a good thing to keep in mind. You can see it in other crafts like pottery, where you do have generational knowledge being passed down, and you also have it passed down in terms of husbandry and horticulture, agriculture type techniques, and almost everything you can think of, building shelters, hunting techniques. But when it comes to flint knapping is it's a little bit different, because it's a game of chance, okay? And it's a game of rational thinking. So not every idea works, and there are many ideas that can work, okay? But it's all ideas on how to create these points. So it's a little bit different than just copying, okay, well, we take this seed off of this plant and plant it in this type of dirt, and it produces another plant. And we keep doing that for generation after generation. And there's not much you can actually add to it or take away from it. You can, you know, of course, you can develop different kinds of plants over time and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is, flint knapping is not that simple. It's not as simple as knowing which clay to take out of the ground and mix with water, what temper to put in it, and then make something out of it. Those are step-by-step, non-risky type of crafts. But when you have flint knapping and you have failures, there's a lot of failures in flint knapping. You have to adjust yourself and your thinking to create success, because it's such a risky business, so to speak. Okay? So generational knowledge is important in the study of flint knapping, but I don't think it rises to the level of being predictable or testable. So in my opinion, it's just a conversation item, and it doesn't have much value in assessing how things were made. But you know, I could be wrong about that, but that's just my opinion. Okay.